Welcome to the Coffee and Turner Syndrome podcast,
where we talk all about Turner Syndrome.
I'm Brooke.
I'm Andrea.
Now let's hop
into today's episode.
Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast.
Hello.
Welcome back to Coffee and Turner Syndrome. I'm Brooke.
I'm Andrea.
And we have a special guest this week.
We do.
This is Savannah. So,
hello. Hi, Savannah.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So, go ahead, give a little intro. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm 30. I live in Virginia. I'm married with 4 cats and a dog. I studied psychology, and so I work right now in a hospital doing child life assistant work. I like reading. I enjoy movies, TV shows, hanging out with friends. And then I was diagnosed with mosaic Turners at 25, few months shy of turning 26 years old.
So, just because I am so interested, what were the red flags? Like, what triggered that diagnosis? How did that go?
Yeah, so I've been on the shorter side, I guess, but I don't think it was a big red flag. Like my mom, sister, and all of that weren't like crazy taller than me, but I've always been the shorter one. And we were kind of getting concerned because I'd never had a cycle. So we thought maybe I was just gonna be a late bloomer, and then we had gone to like a free clinic just to kind of have things looked at, and they, from what my mom said, because this was years ago and I don't fully remember, but after the diagnosis, when I told her, she was like, well, when we went to the clinic, they mentioned like seeing blood. So we still kind of thought maybe it's just abnormally late, and it still never came. So come the time I got married, my husband kind of encouraged me, and I had insurance through my work at that point to like, let's get this checked out. Let's see what this is. I kind of suspected like I probably wouldn't be able to have kids, but it was still kind of a hard process to hear. But yeah, we went and got set up with an endocrinologist, and that's when they did like the genetic testing and found out I had mosaic Turner syndrome. So that was like right a little after I went for my initial appointment, a little after Christmas, or a little before Christmas of, oh gosh, probably 2021. And then I found my results in my portal of all things. So that was a fun way to find out. And then had my follow-up in January. So
Wow. So I can imagine you're just Googling what the karyotype is. Like, what does this even mean?
yeah. Because mine is like oh gosh, I know I've looked it up before, but I have like an isometric part. So,
Okay.
I can't remember what all of it means. I've looked it up before, but it's been a minute. Yeah, I think it was like a good chunk was missing the second X, and then there were some that had like a duplicate of an arm or something. I can't remember exactly what the isometric meant.
Yeah, I saw a karyotype from another butterfly the other day with that. I had never heard of that part before, so I didn't quite know what to make of it, but I'm like, the other pieces of this puzzle look very, that phrase kind of fits too. Very like it's very like uber mosaic.
Uh-huh.
Uber mosaic, uber like random impact.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
what
I don't think I'd ever heard of this before I was diagnosed, and, like, after running tests and everything, I didn't have really any of the, like, common things you see, like, I don't really have any, or I don't know if it's maybe minor, but, like, you can see I don't have really any web necking. My cardiac tests have come back clean. Um, I was in the pre-diabetes, but I've kinda barely come out of that. But I also had a family member with diabetes, so was that Turner's? Was that genetic predisposition from family? Was it both? I don't know.
So
So really
I
other than,
can
like, the being kinda shorter, but I think it was my sneakers, but apparently they say I'm 5 foot now. I've always been 4'11", and then within the last year, they're like 5 foot, and I'm like, "Mm."
I
Um,
say, because I'm 4'11 and a half. I give myself the half.
every inch counts.
Yes. I
It
always, because
does.
I was literally so sad that I didn't fully officially make it to 5 feet on my own because I didn't do growth hormones. So I'm like,
Me
come on.
either.
I'm like, power of will. I can make it. And I didn't, but if I'm wearing any shoes, I'm like, I can call myself 5 foot if I'm wearing shoes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's so
I'm
funny.
4'7.5".
Oh,
So
Oh,
see the
okay.
half.
So
I am
you're a couple
short.
inches shorter than the
We
both of us.
we
Yes.
have rights to that half.
Yes. Like I said, it counts.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm surprised with this, like, not being on hormones, not being on growth hormone, that I guess I got as tall as I did.
That is awesome because I have 2 genetic conditions that affect
Mm.
my ability to grow, and
Oh,
so
wow.
when they put me on growth hormone, and I was diagnosed when I was 3, started
Oh,
growth
wow.
hormone when I was 7, so I should have been able to hit 5 foot, in addition to the fact I have a very tall family. I'm 4'7.5".
Mm.
The shortest person, excluding myself, is, like, around 5'8", 5'9". That was my mom.
Oh, yeah,
I
you would
have
think.
everyone is 6 foot or taller, and
Dang.
so, um, they're all very tall, so, it's kinda funny, but, th so they started me early, and I should have easily, because of that, leaned to at least between 5 foot and 5'2". That's where they thought that they could pretty well get me, but because of this other genetic condition that I have,
Oh,
it affected the effectiveness of the growth hormone, and
oh, man.
so it was not nearly as effective as they thought it was gonna be for me, and so they also offered the, possibility of having my legs lengthened,
Oh,
and if I wanted more height, and they thought, "Well, we could probably get another 4 or 6 inches out of you, if we lengthen your legs." And I'm like, "No." Once I knew what
okay.
that was going to entail,
Yeah, that just
I'm
sounds
like, "I'm not
painful.
willing to do that to,
Mm. I don't
um"
know what that process would be, but that sounds painful.
they have to break your bone, they have to break your leg,
Uh, nope,
and
nope, nope.
they attach a fixator to your leg, and as your bone, starts to heal and that bone, like, replaces itself, you stretch it as that process is going on. So,
Ouch.
yes, and that's about 8 to 9 months I would be on a fixator, and, I'm like, "No, no." I don't and I was teased and stuff like that, but I was used to kind of accommodating myself for my height, and I'm like, "I'm tall enough that I can get around, and if I need to grab a stool, I'm gonna grab a stool. That's fine, and if somebody's gonna pick on me because I'm short, go ahead and tease me because I'm short. I am not going to break my legs in order for you
Yeah.
to feel better
No, that's
and
their
me to,
problem to
like,
deal
somehow
with.
be more acceptable and I don't have to be bullied. I'm like, "No, we're not doing that."
I mean,
So,
I've made the joke, like, just put me in one of those ringer things,
mhm.
but as a joke, like, in reality, that sounds really painful.
It is very painful.
I can't
And to me,
imagine that
it
leads
wasn't
to
worth it.
super healthy, strong bone growth in the middle either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because I'd imagine
yeah.
it's a lot of scar tissue.
But I was young enough at the
probably.
time that, you know, my joints weren't completely fused, and I was young enough
Yeah.
that it would probably be healthy, okay. I wouldn't recommend doing it at this point,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
when I was a teenager, you know, like 9, 10, 11 years old, that's when we started having this conversation. My bones, you know, they're gonna be more malleable, softer, things like that. They're gonna be easier to grow and be strong.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
it didn't seem to be worth the price, because we're talking about doing it to both my legs, and yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
I was like,
how do
no,
you
thank
even
you.
walk around in the interim while you're healing and
I
everything?
There would be a while where you wouldn't be able to. You have to, like, I'd have to use a wheelchair. I
Gosh,
could,
yeah.
and then there's a lot of physical therapy that goes into that too, because you're gonna have a lot of physical therapy,
Yeah.
to build strength back in your legs. So,
They'd
Yeah.
probably
um,
want you on extra calcium and stuff too,
mhm,
probably at that point.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm like, no, no, I'm good where I'm at.
Yes. If anybody's got a problem with it, that's on them.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's their own
I'm like, I'll
insecurity.
Yeah.
if I have to climb, you know, the shelving at the grocery store to grab what I need, or get on a step stool, I'm gonna do it. It's so funny. I scare people at work too. If I need to reach something and I start climbing or finding something to step on, and then I start climbing to try and reach something, they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing what I gotta do." I'm like, "I'm
Yeah.
trying to reach."
Try
Yeah, I'd
living
have
at
to
this
try to
That's
height.
the way,
reach.
like,
You get creative.
you get
Yes.
creative. They're like, "Don't
I
hurt yourself."
always
I'm like,
joke
"I've
that
been
I've been
doing
an
this since I
extra.
was a kid. Like, I'm used to it."
Yeah,
My
that's
husband
kind
is
of
like
what I
6 foot
say.
tall, but he's not always
Mhm.
home.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. I've kind of joked at work that I was like, I've been an expert counter climber since I was a kid. This is
I
nothing new.
know. I'm like,
Yeah.
I have my professional certification in this. I'm a pro. We're good.
The amount of devices I can look around and use and be like, "Oh yeah, I can grab something with that.
I know. I'm
I
like,
can
call me
totally reach
MacGyver in
that with
that
that."
way. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, I look around, I'm like, what can I use? What can
I used to work in a kitchen, like a commercial kitchen, and I swear it was built for tall people. Everything was put
Mhm.
up. And the food service director, my boss, he was laughing one day because he was kind of watching me and I didn't realize he was right there. I was just going about getting things ready like I needed to. But I used one of the sets of tongs to reach something from the super high shelf. And I'm just going about my business doing my work. And I'm like, well, I can't reach it. So here we go. And I grabbed it. And he comes in and he just starts laughing. He's like, I almost stepped in to help you. And then I watched and I saw, he's like, I've seen, you got it. I'm like, oh yeah, I've had to learn how.
Yeah,
Mhm.
back in college when I was working at one of the restaurants on campus, I'd have to fill like the soda machine and
Oh,
I'd go fill it with ice if I could tell it was out. And I always freaked out my supervisor. She was like, "Let someone else do it." And I was like, stubborn me was like,
I
"No, I've
got
got it." Even though it was
it.
slightly heavy and it was a good reach up, I was like, "I got this."
I know. I've been that way too, because I'm very stubborn. I'm very hard headed. Once I get started and I have, like, in my mind, like, I'm doing this, and you know, I would be like, "Yeah, help me. That's great." But I'm just like, once I get in that mode and I'm like, "Yeah, I got this." I'm like, "Let me do my thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got it. I got it. We're good."
And then I had a sister I have a sister who's a year and just shy of a month younger than me, and she's always been taller and I always say more fully developed.
Mhm.
And so everyone would be like, "Y'all are sisters? And you're older?" I was
Well,
like, "Yes."
I've always imagined myself as like with my kids. I'm gonna be the mom that's like looking up at them
Oh no.
when they're older going, look.
Especially during the teenage times, those
Yeah.
teenage times when you're trying to,
Yeah. Like, look,
and you're looking up like, I told you.
I'm small. That does not mean I am not capable.
Don't make me come up there. I will come up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I followed the podcast for a bit, so they're late high school or in college now, right?
My kids?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they're little.
Oh, they're still little? Oh,
They're
I don't know
still
why I
little.
thought they were older.
My son is 9 and my daughter is 7.
Oh, okay. I don't know how I got in my head that they were older than that, but wow, yeah, they're still little then.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're not taller than me yet.
Yet, yes.
My nieces and nephews love to show they're taller than me, though. And every time a new one of them, we're almost to the point where all of them are taller than me. In fact, we might be there. And every time a new one of them has gotten to that point, every time I'll go visit and they're like, I'm taller than you. And I'm like, it's not hard, honey.
I work on a child and adolescent psych unit, so we see from like 9 to 17, and a lot of them will just be like, "You're short," or they'll be like, "I'm taller than you," and I'm like, "Wait, what? Really?"
Well, I always,
I'm just like, and
you might have heard me make that joke of like somebody just acts so shocked because they have to say, "You're really short," and I'm like, "Yes, I know," and they're like, "No, you're really short." I'm like, "I'm aware."
I'm like, really?
Thank you. But I want to be like, wait, what?
The basketball career joke.
What? Yes. Why didn't anybody tell me?
I'm like,
there goes my basketball
I started
career.
doing that with the patients at work.
Now I'll never play basketball. Thanks, guys.
I wish I could charge like 5 cents or something like that every time somebody says that.
Yep.
I would be set.
I'd probably be out of my student loan debt.
Every time, yeah. Every time somebody made a short joke, I'd make bank.
Oh, I have not heard that one before.
Yeah. One of my friends made it his mission one year during camp to tell me a short joke I had never heard before. Because we started the week with constant short jokes always, every time. And so I'm like, I've heard all of them. Like, there's literally, I don't think any you could tell me that I haven't heard before. And that, of course, triggered him to be like, oh, now I'm going to find one you haven't heard before. So the whole week, he would come up with one and look at me. Like, was that one? Have you heard that one? I'm like...
That is funny. I know I say that too. I'm just like, if you're going to tell me a short joke, be sure you make it really creative before you tell me it, because chances are I've probably already heard it.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it because, like, I know, especially when somebody sees me, like, standing next to my husband, they're like, wow, you're short. And I'm like, well, he's tall too, but yes, I know. And so I get there's got to be that moment of like, wow, but really? And I think sometimes there's even people that know me that, he is very tall. So, like, they're not that tall. So maybe it doesn't feel like as big of a difference from them. But then they see me next to him or something, It just is like this moment of having to process exactly how short I really am. And I'm sure on that side of it, their brain is just like, the wheels are spinning and they're like, what even, what? But
what?
I know. Like, what? And, but on our side of it, it's like, yeah, I know.
I've been short my whole life. This is nothing new. Thank you.
Nothing new. Nothing new at all. But thank you for noticing. I had a doctor have that reaction to my ears, and I'm like, bro, it's in proportion with the rest of me. Thanks. I just want to know if my ears are infected, okay? So all I came here for.
Yeah, it's funny whenever, I'm at the doctor and they check my ears, and especially, if it's been a new doctor that has not done that before, or it's been a minute, because I've had 3 sets of tubes and numerous
Mhm.
ear infections. That was one of the big things I dealt with when I was a kid. Like, mostly, I was pretty healthy when I was a kid, um, and I didn't have a lot of, like, health related things due to Turner's.
Yeah, same.
I've had things pop up now, but back then, no. And except for the earaches and the ear infections. And I had my adenoids taken out.
Mm.
And my first set of tubes, I was like a month old, when they put
Mm.
in my first set of tubes. So, and my last set I had when I was 10. And so there's a lot of scarring that's in my ear, especially in my left ear. There's a lot of scarring, and you can tell very much damage to my eardrum. And they act shocked when they look at that, and I'm like I, they're like, did you know that there's scarring? Yes, I'm aware.
Yep, I remember
Oh,
every single
I'm
ear
like, thank you. I
infection. Thanks.
remember it.
That pink little bottle in the fridge.
Oh, it was my friend. Yes,
Yeah.
that was on hand. Oh yes. Yeah.
Regular staple in my fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors do
I
say the darndest things.
yeah.
Uh-huh. It was so
Well, it
funny.
was
I'm like,
just
yes.
he was so shocked by how small my ears were, and I'm like, dude, look at the rest of me.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And I have narrow, and I don't know if you do too, but yeah, I have like narrow canals, ear canals,
Yes.
and yeah, that's been pointed out too. I'm like, thank you. Yes, that's why I've had numerous ear infections.
Yeah.
I don't
See,
think anyone's mentioned that I had any with my like smaller sized ones with my hearing test so far, but I don't
Well,
know.
that's good.
Yeah.
so I was gonna say, was there any subtle signs before? I mean, obviously, the not having a cycle was the bigger sign that there was something happening. But was there, because there's so many little things that can happen with Turner's too, like your immune system. I mean, I get colds if somebody looks at me,
That annoys
and
me. I'm
I
like,
know
every time I hear that, I'm sorry, I gotta say that.
it's
Like,
so
somebody
frustrating.
says, "Oh, I got a cold." I'm like, damn it,
I'm like, great, now just you saying that, I'm
I'm
sick.
gonna get a cold.
So,
No, I mean, I was relatively healthy growing up. I didn't really need to go to the doctor. The worst I ever got was I caught stomach flu one time, which, oh gosh, I would not wish that on anybody. Miserable. Um, and then like I'd maybe get a cold every like normal cold and flu season, but it wasn't like constantly getting sick. I'd probably catch it about as much as anyone else, like maybe once a cold and flu season. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was a little shorter, but I don't think we thought too much of it. And then I think my mom said she was like a little later on hers, so we thought maybe I was just gonna be late, and then by
yeah.
the time it was like, "Okay, still hasn't come," I was going off to college and, no college student is ever going to doctor's appointments and things like that. So,
True.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, after getting the diagnosis, what were your next steps? Did they start you on HRT?
They started me on estrogen and progesterone right away. They immediately wanted me to go to cardio, for obvious reasons, which that came back clear. I had some suspicions about my hearing because my husband was like, "You have things a little louder." Um, and that's coming from him who's an EMT, and
Oh,
I think he needs to go get his hearing checked because Anyway, but they were like, "Yeah, I mean, you've got a little, but it's not at a point where we would put you on hearing aids or anything." My left ear is slightly worse, but I've also gone to concerts without hearing protection.
Mm.
Um, so probably didn't help. Um, and yeah, um, I was never really like at like a heavier weight or anything. That's kind of changed recently. Like I said, they were concerned about me being in the pre-diabetes range for a little bit there. But that was only within the last couple years. Um, and I just barely gotten out of that window. I have developed fatty liver disease, which I did see was kind of common. And when I was doing some more testing, they are wondering if I do have an autoimmune disease too. Um, but I don't really like have any symptoms. I don't feel like other than being tired, but I feel like so many people will always say they're tired. So I didn't think that that's anything out of the ordinary. Like I can still function. Uh, so yeah, I never really had a whole lot of issues.
That can I mean, Mosaic is the the version, for lack of a better term, the version of Turner syndrome that is the one that has that ability to
Has
go.
some of the least severity.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
least severity and can be diagnosed so much later. I mean, there are women that don't. In fact, I was following this YouTuber
Mhm.
because she was talking about infertility, and that was just when I was starting to, like, try to figure out mine, and I already knew there was a likelihood. So, I was
Yeah.
preparing myself even though I didn't have answers for mine. And it turned out years later she finally got answers to why she was having so much trouble getting pregnant, and she was mosaic Turner syndrome. And I didn't
Mm,
even know. This was just a YouTuber I followed. Had no,
yeah.
like, I would have never suspected. She had no other symptoms, nothing. And so
Yeah.
it is the version that can lead to later diagnoses, and there are a lot of women that don't even find out until they go to try to have children. And that's how
Yeah.
they end up being diagnosed with it, because the doctor sees other signs and they're like, maybe that's the source of the infertility.
Yeah. There was someone I heard of on another Turner's podcast where I forget what age she was diagnosed. I think she was diagnosed around this like same age I was. And she was only diagnosed because she was having like miscarriages and stuff like
Mm.
that. But she had no other like she'd had her cycle and everything like that. So it was like
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, I've not heard someone getting diagnosed as late as me. Um, and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it
because
is
it can
very
be,
interesting the spectrum.
yeah, it can be pretty common for it to, like, oh, well, my cycle was always a little weird, but it came on its own. And so, yeah, it just can vary so much.
Yeah. I had someone that I've met through college that she had posted that she lost the little butterfly, but she had posted that they were suspecting her baby had Turner's in utero. And so I had reached out to her and she was asking a lot of questions. And that was kind of the one thing I explained. I was like, there's really going to be no way of knowing until she's born. And you just kind of have to take it one step at a time because it's just so different for everybody and you don't really know.
Yeah.
Yep, it's true. But yeah, like that average age tends to be between 11 and 16. And
Yeah.
most of the time, diagnosis doesn't come about until you're looking at puberty and
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
having a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably the most common big red flag,
Mhm.
if you don't have the in utero red flags, where, like, the only reason they knew
Hydrocephalus
anything
and
was
stuff.
wrong with me was because of the fluid. And
Yeah.
if that hadn't happened, there
They
was
might not have known.
yeah, they might not have even diagnosed me until I didn't start my period on my own.
Yeah.
So, and it's crazy to think that, but I would have had no other symptoms. I mean, I would have been short. Same thing, I would have been short, but I didn't have, I mean, I got sick a lot, but I also had 3 older brothers. I had 6 people in my family in the house. Like, yes, I got sick most commonly, but like, we also had a lot of people in the house. So we
Yeah.
shared a lot. And yeah,
Yeah. I
but
had to have my tonsils removed pretty I don't know how old I was. I know I was in Florida at the time, and we moved from Florida when I was, like, 10, so sometime before 10 years old. But, like, that's also not uncommon for kids to have their tonsils removed either, so that's the
no,
only other thing I've had to have dealt with.
Well, and ear problems aren't that uncommon either.
no,
Um,
Yeah, that's true.
a-
My niece
and
has a lot of ear infections.
yeah, and like, I mean, I was fortunate to get diagnosed earlier, but they didn't start me like right off because I lived in well, we moved specifically. Well, one of the reasons is it was a job, my adopted dad's job at the time, and
Mm,
then also Texas Children's was doing research and a study, and Texas Children's is one of the leading hospitals that studies Turner syndrome, and had clinic and had a study for growth hormone, and so they didn't put me on it until I was 7. But when I was born, I was perfectly fine, like no cardiac issues, no other thing at the time that, you know, that was unusual. And so until I was about a year old, and then I started falling off the growth chart.
mm,
And my mom was like, "Why am I not growing?" A lot of the doctors, they were just like, we can't find anything wrong with her. Um, she's just gonna be short." And my mom's like, "No, something's wrong with her because we have a very tall family. Why is she not growing?" So my mom knew. She's like, "No, there's something wrong." So when my adopted dad took a job, they're like, "Go to Texas Children's, have her looked at there," and that's when they finally did a karyotype.
mm,
So by the time I was 4, they did that, and, like, I got my official diagnosis. But otherwise, I would have gone a long time before that would have gotten caught.
yeah,
Probably when like, it would probably have been 16 or 17 at least when I was looking at starting, having a cycle and all that.
yeah,
yeah. Cause
So,
I mean, even people that are late bloomers, like,
that's not uncommon, people,
yeah,
starting late.
I was
yeah,
really hoping like all of my friends started theirs on their own, you know. They were all
Yeah, yep.
totally fine. And I'm sitting there, I would be in the kitchen talking to my mom and I'm like, I want mine. And she's like, honey, you'll have plenty of time with it. It's okay. And I'm like, no, but everybody else does. And she's like, and they get to deal with it for longer than you do. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, I know, but you want that feeling of normal.
yeah, it
So
definitely
Yeah.
was
I was always
strange.
praying like, just I don't care what age, just let it happen quickly. Just like I was always praying like I just let it happen late, but it happened cuz I was also thinking, I already knew infertility could be a part of it. So in my teenage brain, I already my mom would say I was a mom like when I was born. I've always wanted to be a mom. And so I was thinking if I start on my own, there's a better chance I'd be able to have kids.
Mm, mhm,
That's where my mind went. Didn't happen that way, but I was already thinking like that. So I'm like, come on, I can do it. And so, I mean, they would probably let you go until 16 or 17 before they started really investigating more because they're like, you could just be a late bloomer if nothing else
yeah,
is wrong.
because 'cause we're all,
Yeah.
like, in like, 90s or older babies, right?
Yeah, I
So,
was born in
yeah, I think
91.
yeah, 96. So, I don't know how common it was at that point to be familiar with it, and I I was a preemie, I think maybe close to 2 months, but I was only, like, jaundiced and small, but I don't think my mom mentioned it, like, that they ever were concerned about anything.
Yeah.
I was small, but I was, like, I was 5 pounds, 6 ounces, so nothing, like, concerning.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. The only thing I did was, just, decided to become breech.
Ooh.
Um, so,
Ouch.
they had to do an emergency cesarean on me, but, that's been my whole life. I always do things kinda backwards. So, but yeah, somehow I turned myself around and, my mom went into labor and then found out that I was breech, so they did an emergency cesarean, and they did, my brother, she voluntarily, like, she was like, "I'm gonna go ahead and have a cesarean. It'll be C-section will be much easier." So, she's like, "Just put me to sleep. I'm gonna get a nap. It'll be the best nap I'll have in a while." So,
Oh, goodness.
Hmm.
yeah, she was like, "Just go ahead and go in there. Put me to sleep."
Well, I have wondered if their biggest concern is I mean, you want to have a cycle for more than just having a cycle's sake. There's things
Right.
like bone health and all of those things that it's important for. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, I even had a doctor tell me, like, I don't care if you only have 6 a year. If you're on a good regimen, it's for your bone health.
Yeah.
And I mean, if that's their biggest concern.
And it's also good for cardiac health too. It's
Mhm.
Okay.
important for cardiac health as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I knew the
Yeah.
bone because they wanted me on it pretty quickly with how much time I'd not been on anything, and then my endocrinologist encouraged me to take some calcium supplements too. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was the main thing I'd heard was just s- obviously starting that cycle, but then to get like your whole for your bone health because I guess that is one thing like when we were doing testing I was in the like osteopenia range which has improved because when I went for kind of at the encouragement of hearing your podcast I went for just a hello cat sorry
That's okay.
I went for fertility testing just to kind of see Sorry. And so that was kind of something she pointed out. It's like, "Oh, yeah, like, that's gotten better, like, it's trending in the right direction," but
That's good.
yeah,
That is good.
yes.
So,
If anything good came out of that, she at least pointed out, "Oh, yeah, those numbers are increasing or are decreasing?"
yeah,
Improving.
Something
going the
like
right
that, I don't know.
direction. Yeah.
They're going in the right direction, whichever way it is.
Yeah. So, I am curious what their approach was for you with having those conversations about fertility because I'd imagine they probably went much more into depth with it with you than like I was 16 talking to my pediatric endo asking questions and she's like, "You're not there yet." And I'm like, "No, but I want to know."
Yeah, I mean, my first endocrinologist didn't really she was just kinda like, "Yeah, it's not gonna happen."
Mm.
Like, it's no discussion, it's not gonna happen. And that was kind of as much as she really said. So,
Which is kind of just discouraging.
yeah.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, I kinda suspected, but, like, having it, quote, unquote, like, on paper
Yeah.
was hard because like, I am definitely, like, a very anxious person, so, like, my brain was definitely around, like, that 16 to 18 range, starting to be like, okay, I don't know if this is good. Is this gonna mean I can't have kids? There's kind of like in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And so like even though I was kind of mentally prepared, part of me was like, maybe it's just a hormone thing and I just gotta take some sort of hormones and everything will kind of right itself. And then it's like boom, very rare random diagnosis and here's all these things you need to do. And I like never had to go to the doctor and now all these appointments need to
That's
Yeah.
overwhelming.
yeah.
So you're dealing with that on top of the grief of having to process infertility, which is a whole thing on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very up and down process, for
Yeah.
sure.
Did anybody around you had anybody ever heard of it before?
Well, other than my 2 friends from college, so my
Yeah.
one close friend, like, I called her and my other best friend or, I called her and my best friend after, because I like, my first call was my mom because I just wanted to be like, "Mom."
Yeah.
Looking at your karyotype results to be with you.
Oh, you were
Yes, you do have Turner.
I don't know if you I don't know if you could hear her, but she said she was in the car looking at my karyotype. Uh,
That's
but
funny. That's what I said too, because I had my karyotype redone because I
mhm.
couldn't get my records, my pediatric records back. So I had my current endocrinologist when I was a newer patient. I had him go ahead and I'm like, can we redo my karyotype? So I have some paperwork.
Mhm.
And I came back and I'm like, I looked at it, I'm like, yep, I still do in fact have Turner syndrome.
It
Dang
didn't go
it!
away, darn.
Yeah, I'm like,
Man!
darn.
That second X just didn't magically appear
I'm
or
like,
grow the rest
no.
of its arm.
I'm like, I surely thought that that was going to appear by now.
Yeah, I think I called them and I think I didn't know you asked for the results, but I guess I did.
No, because you got it in your portal, and then it was still like you had some time between when you got it in your portal and when you had your doctor's appointment,
Uh-huh.
and you weren't sure, like you thought it meant you had Turner syndrome, but you weren't 100% positive. And then like the next day, you and I were out doing something, and you pulled it up, and you were like, "Does this mean I have Turner syndrome?" And I was
Oh.
like, "Yes."
I thought I knew it meant it because I remember crying and I got like a bunch of like results in my portal and it was just overwhelming because then it was like
Oh, I'm
boom,
sure.
Don't you just
osteopenia, boom, pre-diabetes. Like,
don't you just
Boom!
love it when those results just instantly drop
Yeah.
into your portal and then um
I had
like
like a
there
month until I followed up too. I was like, oh, great.
So you
I mean,
just get to
hindsight.
sit with all of it. Just
Yeah.
mic drop. Last one. This random genetic condition you've never heard of. It's like, great. What does that even mean?
Yeah. Granted, I could have called or said something in the portal, I guess, and been like, uh, what?
What is
what
this?
does this mean? Yeah, I sent a
Turner
message
who?
to my doctor. I was like, please explain this because there is like I had a CT scan, a cardiac
Mhm.
CT scan done in December last year about this time. Well, June 1st of last year, I had a heart attack,
Oh
and
gosh.
yeah. And when I say that, everyone's like, "Yeah, you're young. You had a heart attack." I'm like, heart attacks can happen in younger people too.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
especially with if you have the narrow aortas and stuff like
yeah.
that.
And when I first thought I could be having it, I have a coarctation. I have the narrowing in my aorta. And so I was like, is this a heart attack? Am I having a dissection? None of that actually was the cause. Like
Uh,
that was not the factor. And
Huh.
what has happened is because I am a diabetic. I'm a type 2 insulin
Mm,
dependent diabetic. Um,
okay.
and we were talking a little bit last time. I'm probably going to talk about Turner syndrome and diabetes in a whole other a whole other conversation in a podcast,
Yeah.
because there is actually not a lot of conversation about diabetes and Turner syndrome. My mom was a diabetic, but TS lends to the predisposition to becoming diabetic.
Yeah, higher.
So yeah, so I had kind of a double whammy, so it was almost inevitable. Now I try to do a lot of management to keep my diabetes in check, and I was pre-diabetic for a little while, and then I my endocrinologist was like, we need to get you on some oral medication to help, and metformin and all that good stuff. And so I was officially like, you're diabetic, but my A1Cs were okay.
Mhm.
However, with everything that had happened in the last year and a half in my life, like losing my mom, there was a lot of stress factors and stuff like that, and emotional things. And so part of me stopped taking as good care of my diabetes management. And my A1C had been getting higher, really high, like we're talking insanely high. Um, and so when it was like around 10 point something, my endo was like, we need you to start on insulin. And, but that was around the time all this was happening. And so I just stopped with the insulin. I'm like, I'm just going to manage it. I was taking my oral medication, but through diet and I just really kind of stopped off my insulin. I, unbeknownst to me, went into diabetic ketoacidosis. So if anyone ever thinks if they have the potential of becoming diabetic or pre-diabetic, I can tell you the symptoms of diabetic ketoacidosis. You do not want to mess with that. So I probably for about 8 or 9 months was in DKA. I lost an incredible amount of weight. I was really starting to look sick, and I'm surprised no one said anything, because I was starting to see it. And I'm like, well, maybe it's just because I dropped a lot of weight rapidly, but I didn't realize what was causing the sudden rapid weight loss. But that was just one of the key symptoms of the DKA. And I developed, because my A1C went from a 10 point something to a 16.1. My glucose was like 667 when I went into the hospital. And so it was really high. And so they told me that, yes, I am having a heart attack, and I'm in DKA. And so they had to place a stent. And when they placed the stent, the doctor said that I had a blood clot.
Oh gosh.
So the blood clot was because of the high levels, I'm pretty sure contributed to the high levels of sugar that was in my bloodstream. It developed a blood clot. Well, the blood clot, I take Taekwondo, and I was at class the night before my symptoms started. And I think it was that particular class, for some, some reason, that broke the blood clot loose. It went into my artery, and it 100% blocked my artery and started the heart attack.
Goodness.
And so, now I'm going to be a little bit more vocal with that, because it's really scary. And it started as insulin resistance, and it's, it is a metabolic endocrine condition. And so it's not unusual to become diabetic when you have Turner syndrome. And unfortunately, that is one of the things that I've had to deal with. So now I have to take 2 types of insulin instead of one. I have to take a long-acting insulin, and if I want to eat, I have to take a fast-acting insulin. So, and unless it's below a certain number of carbs. So like I have a ratio of carbs to insulin that I take. And so if I have something that's like 5 or 6 grams of carbs or something like that, that's not going to spike my insulin too much. I can take that without having to correct. But yeah, most of the time, if I'm going to have like a meal, I have to have my fast acting on board. So I give myself 4 to 5 injections a day.
Oh,
So
jeez.
I was I hated the shots. I hated the growth hormone. I had such a hard time taking shots.
Yeah.
Um,
That's probably one thing I guess, like, could be a positive in a way of not getting diagnosed so late. I don't know how I would have tolerated those shots every day.
I learned how to do it, but I was one that like I had to have my mom do it. I'm like, I cannot give myself these shots. So my mom did mine pretty much until I was 17. And they said, "Well, you're done growing." So,
There you
um,
go.
but yeah, now it's ironic that I have to give myself
Oh,
injections multiple times daily.
yeah. Gosh.
But yeah. So, yeah. Um, it is definitely a like it is one of those things like to be careful. So, and now I know what a heart attack feels like too. So if anyone wants to know like what a heart attack
Mm.
feels like, I can tell you what a heart attack feels like.
Yeah.
And I think it's different in females than it
Women.
is in
Yeah.
males. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a really scary way,
So,
in much more subtle ways,
yeah.
Mhm. That's what I've
where
heard,
it is
yeah.
much more common for women to ignore the symptoms and not even realize that's what's happening because of the
Until
difference
too
in the
late.
symptoms.
Yeah.
And with Turner's, as with most things, it's like it just makes all of that even more likely, even more of a risk. Like, yeah, it's, I'm sure, Savannah, the information was overwhelming, but I'm sure another layer of the overwhelm was, wait, this means what's possible?
Yeah. Everything and anything,
Basically,
basically.
yeah.
Uh,
Everything on the kitchen sink, you never know what's gonna come.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a roll of the dice what you
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, because it's random
Yeah.
what ends up actually occurring for everybody.
Yeah.
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 That's why when
Peter
doctors make
syndrome.
generalizations, it's even more like you can't know
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
until you've done all of that testing on her. You don't know.
Yeah. That's kind of why I told when I saw that one person I'd met through college post about um her baby in utero. That's what I was kind of like. I just reached out to her and I was like, "Hey, I have this, if there's anything questions, anything you want to know, anything you need, just let me know." And so that's kind of like what I told her when she was kind of asking about what to kind of expect. I was like, "Really? You're just not gonna know until she's here."
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you just have to
unfortunately,
keep it super close. And even once you do the testing, you have to keep up on certain screenings because it can
yeah, the
change.
heart, yeah. I think the heart and the hearing mainly. And then I think
Yeah.
at least with my PCP, they do blood test every year anyway. But
So I'm curious how they explained Turner syndrome to you.
Yes.
oh gosh, it was 5 years, almost 5 years ago now. So I don't know if I remember exactly what she said. I just remember her giving, I think, three different things of what like the possibility could have been. And then we got my results and she brought me in. I had kind of done some looking. Uh yeah, I honestly don't remember. It's been
Did you just immediately go on Google and Google Turner syndrome?
yeah, and I think I had kind of done a little bit of looking beforehand. Um just in case like it did come back that, but I was like, surely no, like it could. Surprise.
Yeah.
um And then my husband had done some looking too, but I think I was just more in like, I don't know how to process this mode at that point. Like,
What was his reaction? Did he
um,
go,
he,
"Oh, that makes sense"?
No, he was kind of in shock too, in a way, or that was the one he was most worried about because of
Yeah,
all the
there's a lot that
potential
comes with it.
issues.
Yeah.
And so he had did kind of have the reaction of like, well, why, why weren't things done sooner? Like, if you had
Mhm.
known sooner, you could have been on these hormones sooner, and
Yeah.
that could have changed some things, which realistically it wouldn't have changed much. So I think feel like there was some parts to that I didn't agree, but he just was like, why didn't you guys look into this sooner? Like it might have given you better outcomes, but maybe with my bones, but other than that, I don't know what more it would have done, honestly.
Yeah, so I haven't researched it a ton, although it is something that I'm looking into researching more now. Um, and I'm thinking it'll possibly be a topic in the project I'm working on.
Ah, okay.
But um, the idea of preservation for like eggs and stuff like that,
Mhm.
that has to be so early.
Yeah. Well, when I went to the fertility doctor, kind of like after thinking about it, after hearing the one episode of the podcast, I think when you were kind of going through that initially before looking at adoption and everything, just like you said, to kind of know what's happening or what's working with your body,
Yeah.
or how like your body's functioning. So I was kind of like, that is a valid point. Like, just see what they say. um I guess it can even with that, it can kind of depend because I've heard other girls say like, yeah, they were told when they were younger they needed to kind of like, they were kind of like, are we gonna freeze your eggs? What do you like? What are
Yeah.
we gonna do? Which,
Yeah.
I mean, I think at that age I wouldn't have known
Oh,
like
yeah.
how
Well, and
to
there's,
understand that, but
I
she
mean, to
said
be
basically with what.
honest, there's a whole lot that also goes into that conversation of if you can preserve that, what are the other implications of that?
Yeah,
Because no, Turner syndrome is not genetic in the way that it's inherited typically.
yeah,
Normally, this isn't something you count as inherited, right? Like, none of our parents have it.
mm-mm,
But us having it, that affects how the eggs we could have started with that now we've lost would have been formed. And so,
yeah,
what would have even been, I mean, I've played these games in my mind so many times, and I've played this bargaining of like, no, but there could be like that one egg that's totally fine that we can make happen.
yeah,
And that's just not, I mean, I will never say it's not possible,
yeah,
but would I have bet on it? No, I wouldn't spend thousand. And the doctor suggested that to me. He was like, I would not put tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, months, years, and all of the side effects into that effort that it would take for a crapshoot of an outcome.
yeah,
It's and that's why I want to research that more because I feel like that is even such a nuanced thing because like okay, you preserve the eggs, what quality are the eggs?
mhm,
Because it's got to be probably a pretty specific time frame and case that has that as a major possibility. Like
yeah,
by
I
the
don't
time
know.
I started HRT at 12, I probably wouldn't have even been a candidate for it then.
Yeah, the way my numbers were when I'd gotten my initial, I guess, like, hormones done, I showed the fertility doctor that, and she was like, "Yeah, you probably wouldn't have even stood a chance of even having that as an option, because my oh gosh, I forget what hormone it was, but it was
FSH.
just maybe. I think that was it, because it was like, I think 70 something. And so she was like,
Mine
it's
was worse.
trying, but it's like screaming into the void and
Yeah.
nobody's home.
And that for
So,
me, that explanation of it is kind of like, I don't know, it makes sense. Like, it helps you
mhm.
put into perspective what's actually happening,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're just like, okay, so it's trying, but it, not really. That's part of it, but like it having to try so hard is because it's not happening.
Yeah. And that's kind of what she said. So it was like there could be like the most minute chance that maybe
Yeah.
during one cycle that like maybe I actually have an egg, but it's like the most minute chance
Yeah.
if at all. So,
Yeah. Well, and I think there is cause to think about, so not only would it be viable, like would the egg that decided to actually listen and ovulate that cycle, because I had this whole thing where I'm like, if I'm on my hormones really well, like if I stay good, I have other signs. This might be TMI. I guess we talk about a lot that probably there's nothing that's TMI. But I had other signs of ovulation.
mm,
And so I'm like, if I'm on my hormones right, my numbers would go down. And the doctor, I got all excited. I was like, my numbers were lower. And she's like, that's the hormones can artificially do that. I'm like, what?
mm,
That's not fair. So then I started thinking, like, so I make that happen. It works. I ovulate. What are the chances that I give a healthy egg versus one that also has a damaged X chromosome?
mm.
And then you're looking at
Which
a
I mean
risk of,
that's still worth,
well,
it's still worth giving that baby a chance too. But
but you're looking at either miscarriage if it doesn't work,
that's true. Because
or
we are more prone to being miscarried. That's why
mhm,
there's such a small
yes.
number of us that make it to term.
So I when I was asking some of those questions, the doctor told me, she was like, you probably would miscarry if that happened before you were even able to find out had gotten spontaneously pregnant. And I'm like, that's depressing.
Yeah.
But then I
Because
started
I
thinking
think,
about the idea of, well, but what if it was one that would survive, right? How do I feel about knowing I'm taking the risk of they'd have Turner syndrome
mm,
and what that would put them through?
yeah,
If, I mean, you're talking before conception happens, this isn't an already created embryo. This is a factor of, I'm risking passing this on. And
yeah,
I
it's
don't want
not,
that to sound like I'm discouraging it, but it was
yeah,
something that I had to process.
yeah, because it's not, okay, I'm pregnant and this is the case. It's, do I
Right.
artificially make an egg
Yeah,
that,
do I force this in a way that risks passing this on?
yeah,
Because I have that choice ahead of time now of, do I take that chance of passing it on or not?
yeah.
So,
I guess the only positive would be you'd know what they'd be going through and you could
oh,
relate. But
absolutely. And of course, I mean, there could be nothing, there's nothing wrong with it.
yeah,
But there are things that you have to, I mean, we talk all the time about things you have to deal with.
yeah.
So it's just, and
So, but do you want to willingly put
yeah,
them through the,
willingly put that chance on the table. It's, and I don't think I ever solidly came to a conclusion about how I felt about it because it's so complicated.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It
'Cause
was
I
just
don't
an
know, because
interesting
if
thought.
I could, and if I could like wave a wand and not deal with all this. I mean, heck yeah, I would not. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I knew I was like 5 years old, 5.5 years old when I my mom started telling me about the fact that I wasn't going to have kids.
Mhm.
So um I had already kind of in my mind had assumed I was not going to have kids.
Yeah.
And my mom, it was kind of funny because I started asking questions because I was 5 years old when my mom was pregnant with my brother. And I started asking her questions. And, she was describing pregnancy and labor. And I'm not one with the high tolerance for pain.
Same.
And, and, and my mom was telling me, and I was like, I can't have kids. But in my 5-year-old brain, I was thinking,
That does not
but
sound
I
fun.
won't have to go through the pain of labor. I
Yeah.
started thinking, I can adopt kids
Yeah.
and I don't have to go through the pain of labor.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my mom also talked to me about, well, you can adopt. And it was like before, IVF and stuff like that was a like more of a thing. And they said I had like scar ovaries.
Mm,
Um, and I started on hormones young, but I don't think I was gonna have the ability, like the ovarian um function enough to be able to conceive. And
yeah.
and then when I found out about my heart issue, um, which I was an adult, that was also after college, and my
Yeah.
pediatric endocrinologist never checked like if I had any heart issues. And I didn't have any symptoms for a long, long time with the coarctation or anything. I really didn't have anything. And I just happened to go to a conference and do an echocardiogram.
Mhm.
And that's when they found it. I wouldn't have known probably until I had a heart attack, if I hadn't done that because I had no other symptoms. Um,
I'm glad they offer those at the conferences. I'm
yeah.
actually going to my first one this month. They're having one in Raleigh, and
Oh,
that's,
that's
like, the
awesome.
Are you
closest,
going to the
so
Raleigh? Yeah. That'll be good. And I'm glad that they offer those because I think it's important to get those screenings.
and
Um,
hearing tests now,
on
or
the
I don't know if
hearing.
that's always been the case, but
Oh,
I
that's
don't know
cool.
if that happened either, but that's important too. Um, so that's good that they're doing that. And we
mhm.
have really good cardiologists, like Dr. Silverbach. He is one of the best cardiologists, and it's really good that we have him on our team where he's does a lot of research into like I mean he's a thoracic doctor and
Mm.
so he understands and knows a lot. And so yeah, I'm really glad it got caught. Um but it when that came into a factor, that just completely took the ability for me to like carry off the table. I'm
Yeah.
like, even if I did like IVF or consider IVF, um, it would be putting my baby at risk. It would be putting me at risk. And there's a chance I wouldn't survive labor because I could
Mhm.
dissect. So, uh, yeah, it just, when we were still at chapter 2, we had some local doctors, who are also very knowledgeable, one of the few, because we had, our president, she does a lot of research, and she brought in some doctors to talk about IVF and stuff like that, um, and that if you do have some of those genetic cardiac factors, it puts your risk at like 1 to 2% of being able to survive a labor.
Mm.
So, um, I'm like, "Yep, yeah, no, I'm not gonna be able to, like, physically carry a child." So, that completely went off the table.
Yeah.
I think my mom would freak out at me trying to. Yeah, it's so much of what I figured out going through that process of, like, not just finding out officially, getting that confirmed that I really couldn't and what it might take, but, like, I also learned how complex the whole, like, none of the options were simple. It wasn't
Mhm.
just
No.
IVF, it was IVF with egg donation, and I also had
Yeah.
to think about carrying, and just all of the information for that felt overwhelming. I can't
Yeah.
imagine processing all of that along with getting the initial diagnosis, because I had had years of knowing I had it already, and I had already had that conversation with my husband before we even got married of like, hey, I have this, I don't know what this is going to look like. And so we had a lot of time processing already before we got that confirmation and kind of had to sift through all of that information. So I can't imagine
Yeah.
getting all of that at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, I got my diagnosis first about like close to 5 years ago, and then it was this year that I did like the fertility stuff. So I did have a little buffer, but yeah, it is a lot to process as a whole,
Yeah.
just everything.
Well, it's
So
one of those things that, um, really change your life because, you were living not knowing that you had Turners for a while, and then all of a sudden, all of this is now a reality, and it's like, "No, I gotta do this, 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 and think about this, this, and this," and
yeah,
especially the fertility, factor, it's very, very difficult, and
yeah,
especially at a time when you're family planning, thinking about it, and, you're looking forward to starting a family, and then it's like, "Oh, well, let's throw this, wrench
yeah.
Yeah.
into the mix."
And I guess that was a benefit to where like my anxiety came in because by the time my husband and I had started dating, I was 22, 23. And so obviously still nothing. And I was like, and even in my relationship before that, I was like, once we got to the point where we were kind of discussing marriage, I was like, so, like, this is a thing. I don't know what it is. I haven't gotten it figured out, but like, never had my cycle. I potentially cannot have kids. It might be highly likely I can't. What do you feel about that? So, like, I
Yeah.
was still kind of able to have that conversation. So that was at least some positive aspect because I was like, what do you think? What would you? Because I didn't want to waste time either if that was going to be a potential deal breaker. Um, so at least
Yeah,
compared to like ones who might have gotten like an infrequent cycle and then not known, I at least had like that like worst case scenario thinking that comes with anxiety um kind of came to help in a way.
Yeah. That's still hard, especially because you had even, I mean, I did that with knowing the source and knowing the likelihood, but you didn't even have an explanation for why to
Yeah.
understand. And I I feel like getting the diagnosis should come with a class on like how to explain it to people. But I'm not
Yeah.
even sure how they would tell you how to explain it because I haven't found a perfect way to explain it.
Yeah.
and
I
that
think
now you're
like
gonna have to be explaining it to doctors because oftentimes you're gonna have
Yeah,
to be able to
yep.
explain it to doctors.
there is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my coworkers at work one time, one of them just decided we were gonna randomly Google each other, and so they pulled up my name, and so I'd been on another podcast, and so it had Turner syndrome in the name, And so I kind of ended up having to like bring up that, and so they were like, "Oh, what's that?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a chromosome, or I think they still technically call it a genetic condition."
Yeah.
So I don't remember if I said chromosomal or genetic. But I was like, "Oh yeah, it's a condition where you're missing all or part of your second X chromosome," and I just kind of left it.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like the short and simple.
yeah,
I have a broken chromosome, okay?
it happens.
It happened.
As one does.
Yeah.
Well, the funniest moment I ever had dealing with it, and this was before I was widely talking about it, this was in high school,
Mhm.
was a biology teacher
Oh,
made, Andrea's heard this story, made the statement, you can't survive. She was talking about Down syndrome. We were learning about chromosome disorders. She was talking about Down syndrome, and Down syndrome is you have an extra chromosome.
Mhm.
She made the statement, for whatever reason, you can't survive with less. And I'm like,
Round.
and I wanted to
Right here.
say, then how am I here? But I
like
was
my
just like,
missing X chromosome would like
yeah.
to enter the chat, please.
Yeah, me and my missing second X would like to say something.
Yeah.
I wasn't telling people that still because I didn't know how people were going to react. I don't know.
Mhm.
I hadn't gotten to that comfortability yet. And so I was just like, have you ever heard of Turner syndrome? And she was like, yes. And it was on the next page. I'm like, chick, why? You're supposed to be teaching
It
this stuff.
probably even had that, like,
It was missing a chromosome.
Yeah. Or even just
what?
that, like, X amount of people are born with this condition. So, like,
Yes.
hello.
Yes. And
Mhm.
there's 45 instead of 46.
Yeah. Yeah.
In order for there to be record of people being born with it.
You would have
Would
had
you
to
like to see
survive.
my karyotype? Because I have a karyotype to prove.
It was just funny. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that was my most
Yeah.
interesting experience. And
Yeah.
I mean, most of the rest is just people noticing I'm short,
I know.
Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
I think until that random thing of like, oh, we're just gonna Google each other. I think that was my most random. Like, oh, yeah, hi.
yeah, that's me.
Other than that, I think like, yeah, I've had to mostly at like walk-in clinics. Like if I
Yeah.
just had those random, funks that come on of like cold like symptoms, and then of course your work's gonna want to note if you're missing X amount of days. So then it was like you go to the doctor and I'm like, yeah, I'm on this because of Turner. And they're like, what's Turner? I'm like,
Yeah. Well, see, I think my biggest concern is outside of the specialties, there's such little awareness within the medical community.
yeah.
And I think that only will contribute to people being diagnosed later and later
Yeah.
because they're not seeing it in the common places frequently enough to have it red flag to do a karyotype. I mean, it doesn't even have to be life threatening at the moment for it to be good care to get ahead on the screenings and bone density and all of those things.
So honestly, and this is just a thought, but honestly, what would be the problem with like when you're born especially if you have a female birth, but if you're born just doing a karyotype
Mm.
at
Well, and
birth.
I think they do offer the amniocentesis
Right, which
prenatally to everybody, but it's not mandatory. So most people are
right.
like, you know, if they're not concerned about it, there's no other reason that they think something is wrong. Like with you guys, there would have been nothing wrong prenatally to trigger them being concerned about anything.
I
And
mean,
it's a
It's
lot of
if
risk with the amniocentesis too.
there is risk
yes, there's
with the amnio,
risks.
yeah,
There's risks associated with it. And if they didn't have any other reason to think something is wrong, then they're just going to be like, "Oh, well," and the parents could go, "Well, we don't really care either way, so we're good." But yeah, that so it would have to be a karyotype after, and I mean, as long as they're doing other blood draw, it's not like
Yeah.
there's a
that
drawback.
right
I could
with
see
that
where that
being
could cause a lot of like medical people pushing for termination potentially too if it was early on.
If you
well,
pushed
it
for
happens,
amniocentesis, yeah,
yeah, it
that
happens a
would be their
lot
first thing.
with Down syndrome babies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and
Well,
it
I think
happens enough as it is when they diagnose TS in utero
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. But very often,
I
I
think
mean, it's
even more so with Turner's because Turner's sounds scarier.
yeah.
Down
Well,
syndrome, they're talking about,
and
oh, they'll have Down syndrome and maybe they'll go through some of the symptoms, but probably they just rely on people knowing what Down syndrome is. But
yeah,
with Turner's, they're going, her heart won't develop, her lungs won't develop. Like they're going through all of the horrible things that they don't know if will happen, but are possible.
yeah,
And it sounds scarier.
yeah. It does sound scarier, and it's not as common
It's not as well known.
yeah, not as well known as Downs, but it's sad just in that how frequently they'll push
Yeah.
for it. But yeah, a lot of times in TS they'll be like, well, you're going to
it's
be
only got
looking
a
at these
2% chance.
complications, and then they push for it, and so
I mean, they told
I
my
don't
mom
know.
they couldn't stop her from having to deliver me dead.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
And that's
it's very
traumatic.
tricky because like yeah, well, like even so, my mom was told, and I was diagnosed, I think officially at 4. I said, but yeah, um, by the time I was 4, um, they told my mom that I wasn't going to be able to drive, that I wasn't going to be able to ride a bike, that I may not be
Wrong,
able to graduate high school, and that
wrong.
I would probably need to live in a group home, or I would be living dependent on my parents because I would not be able to be independent enough to live on my own. And my mom was like, that's my daughter. You don't tell her what she cannot do. She'll decide what she can and cannot do. And I'm going to help her, do what she can.
I
So
don't think I've ever heard of any of that being the case.
my mom was given any kind of negative picture. Like my mom really was like, what did I do to my daughter? And I had to tell my mom, I'm like, it's actually on the sex chromosome. So you can talk to talk to my my biological father. I call him something else, but I'm gonna be nice on this. But I call him something else. But
You and I
he
should talk later, cause
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But the other part that gave me my broken chromosome. So
Yep.
um, but yes, she just felt so guilty. She was like, "What did I do?" But my mom, she was like, "Well, you want to be able to, get a dish down, like get a stool." That's why I'm so like independent. I'm like, I will do it myself. Thank you. I will figure it out and do it myself. My mom was like, "You want to learn how to do the laundry? I'm going to teach you how to do the laundry, and you're going to make sure I do the laundry." So, my mom wasn't gonna like let me make my height or anything an excuse to not be able to try and do something. and my mom, it wasn't easy, but my mom and my grandpa worked with me on driving, and I started driving when I was 17. I was working on it when I was 15, but like I was able to like get licensed when I was 17. So was it a little bit of a challenge? Yes. Um, but
Those darn
y-
curbs.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Curbs on left turns. I gotta watch those curbs on left turns. Um, my poor mom, my grandpa started helping me because there was one time when I was like working on parking and I came up too close to the parking whatever you call it,
Oh, like the cinder block?
the cinder
Mhm.
block, yeah. And I kind of went over it a little bit and there was like a tree, a little tree that was like right there. And I accidentally hit it and knocked it down.
Oh
And
no.
my mom's like, yeah, I'm gonna let your grandfather teach you. She was like, I just don't know if I have the patience to kind of get you through all this. But he actually was a good teacher because he was like he was able to help me. So yeah, they both did, but my grandpa, he was like really good. So, but yeah, that was probably, I mean, that was a bit of a challenge, but
Mhm.
I drive, but
Well,
yeah,
and I think now with every part of Turner's, the infertility, I mean, driving, there's so much greater assistive technology than there ever has been.
yeah,
Mhm.
When I started driving, I couldn't like the seat didn't physically go forward enough in cars that were more than a few years older because they just didn't make them go that close. So I had to get over my pride. I was like, no, I can do it without a pillow. And my mom's like, no, you can't. And safety wise, use one. So
Yep.
I had to in the beginning. And then if it has the electric adjustment, it goes I don't even need it as far as they let you put it now,
Yeah.
but it'll go however far you need.
yeah. Um,
Yep.
and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like the pedals aren't as far in,
Yeah.
I think, as they used to be in cars. Like the cars
Mm,
that when I first started driving, I was driving my stepdad's car and he had a boat. So I had to use cushions and I had to get extensions
mm,
because it just it was in there and the seat wasn't gonna go up far enough for me to be able to reach it safely. And like I was like right up against the steering wheel. So
Yeah.
I still use extensions. Right now I have to get my extensions replaced so I don't have them on so I can drive without them in the car that I have because they don't go as far back. Um and so I have to be close up, but I can reach them. But
Yeah.
just so I have more room between myself and the steering wheel, I still like to use extensions.
Yeah.
And it especially after I saw The Blind Side, I was like, maybe I shouldn't be so close to the steering wheel. Like,
I've
you
gotten
know,
much better in the last little bit at adjusting the steering wheel down.
yeah,
My mom's an insurance agent, so she has been on me from the beginning of me driving about this. But I was always horrible at remembering and just like, it's fine. I'm fine. And she's like, no, it will kill you. And I'm like, okay. So I've gotten a lot better at remembering to adjust it down so that it's actually hitting where it should rather than my face.
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So, but there's so
I
much like that that it's like, I don't know, I feel like even more so now when you get that diagnosis, even at the age you got it, there's so many options,
yeah, yeah,
much more
much
than
more
there
options.
ever has been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
yeah,
doesn't make it easy or not complicated, but there's
Yeah.
options.
Mhm.
yes.
It's not the end of the road. It's
No.
the beginning of a very windy one.
Yes.
Then
Windy for sure.
Kind of like yellow brick road.
Exactly.
I am curious if there was anything you would suggest either for a doctor giving somebody the diagnosis at the age you got it,
Mm,
or the as the person that got the diagnosis at that age, what would you say would have been helpful to you to help process? What do you wish you had been told or had known about that would have helped?
not getting it in your dang portal to sit and think about.
Not just randomly having a karyotype you can't interpret dropped on you
Yeah.
with
Start
no
Googling that
context?
stuff or put it in the
I
chat
know.
for BT and be like, what does this mean? And then I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm dying, aren't I?
Yeah, it said something about, like, consistent with mosaic turners or something in the thing. I was
Hmm.
like, "This is a what?" Um,
Yeah,
but
definitely should
yeah,
be a phone call or appointment
Yeah.
update.
before it's uploaded. Yeah, um, I guess outside of that, like, I know doctors are in a rush, but maybe being able to kind of explain a little more, but at the same time I don't know, because I know they've got to get to their other patients and stuff, and when you're kind of in that moment of getting it, you're kind of in shock too, so you don't
Yeah.
always know the questions, and you might not be in a headspace to process either, you might just kinda be overwhelmed, so part of me would wanna say, like, kind of give them some basic things so that, like, because they might not be in a place where they're thinking questions to ask, um
Yeah.
but at the same time, even if they were, you might not be fully cognitively processing everything because you might still be like, "Oh, wow, this is a thing, okay."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but if anything else, I guess maybe that, because when you're first getting a diagnosis, or at least for me, I'm not always like, "Okay, well, I have X, Y, and Z questions." Like, it's like, "Oh, okay," like, I'm taking this in.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't always know the questions to ask either.
Yeah.
It's just kinda like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay.
But
Well, I'll
yeah.
just do what you tell me."
Yeah, especially for a not very well known genetic disorder that you've never heard of. You're
Mhm.
going to sit there and go, I don't even know what to ask.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I was just
And
kinda like, "Okay, I gotta do cardiologist? Okay, like, sure, I'll do that. Can I at least do it back in my town instead of 3 hours away?"
oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where was accepting my insurance at the time. I had to go 3 hours to a different to a hospital. Excuse me, to a hospital, because they were the only ones accepting patients and my insurance, so
Oh wow.
that was a fun thing initially, so I was like, "Well, can I try to do this at home first?"
Maybe just
Uh,
tiny bit closer.
yes, but yeah, so I was like, "Okay, I gotta do this and this and this. Oh, okay, sure, alright."
Yeah.
Never had to hello?
I am so sorry that my cat is a menace.
It's okay.
Cat knocked over some sort of dish.
Uh,
Um,
as cats do.
As
yes,
cats definitely do.
Yeah.
definitely, all the time. Um, but yeah, I was like, "Okay, like, I'll go to all these doctor's appointments, never had to be going to a doctor this much in my life, but
Yeah.
alright." And, like,
Yeah.
right now, I've had to with the fatty liver stuff coming up, I've had to go even more, so that's been fun. Love getting to be
Yeah.
poked and prodded.
Oh yeah, so much
It's
fun.
so much fun. Yeah.
I think, and I'm gonna say this, but I really feel like what would be beneficial for our national chapter that I wish I'm trying to figure out how to say this diplomatically. Um, I'm trying to keep this very diplomatic.
Oh dear.
Um, I wish that they would be supportive of local support groups. I wish
Mm.
that there was more local chapters, at least in major areas where majority of um, us would have access and not have to travel or go very far, but had the support group. So then, if no matter at what point you get a diagnosis, but especially like if you're an adult, because oftentimes you're just left to kind of figure it out for yourself.
Mhm.
But can direct you to um, a local support group where then you can kind of start to have other people around to help with the processing, to help maybe with doctors, that you can be referred to that are familiar with Turner syndrome and just have that support. And that you
Yeah.
get plugged into, um, you know, um, whatever medical needs you might have, and then just, to have that support and you're connected to other people that, to other girls that have Turner syndrome. Um, I feel fortunate because I'm in an area where we had a chapter that was a part of a TS US. Um, Unfortunately, it got dissolved, but
Mm.
um, you know, I was able to come and get plugged in, and I had been, doing this for a long time. So I found my own doctors, and this was before I really started to meet them, but I met them because I met um Kelly, who was a president who was working with kids, with the girls who had TS, and was running a children's clinic here locally, and wanted to try and start something similar for adults. But even if we don't have an adult clinic, if if you get like a referral to national, like we may not have the resources, but here is the national chapter, reach out so you can get additional resources, or you can find out doctors in your area that you can go to, and you're not having to do all of it on your own. I mean, I already found my doctor, so like, clinic or anything like that. Um, but when you're having to do that, I don't know. I just feel like it would be helpful that
Even
more
just
people
for
got that.
emotional support, like,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
while you're
I think
processing
I
everything.
found like the Facebook groups for like the for like TSIS and the Turner Syndrome Foundation pretty quickly. So I think that was helpful because then I got plugged into like the Star Sisters group through the Turner Syndrome Foundation and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So um
Yeah.
if you're, you know,
And that
uh,
does help.
yeah, it would be nice to have some sort of like something you're given of like here's some resources you can reach out to because like if you reach out to the to organizations like they do have a lot of resources and information.
Yeah.
I think either both TSIS and TSF or just one or the other has like you can search your state and search for doctors
Mm.
and stuff like that. So like even those websites are good resources, but if I hadn't like tried to look it up myself, I wouldn't have even known those were out there.
Yeah.
So it was me looking up like I think either just Turner syndrome or Turner syndrome support groups or something.
And that's what I did. And, that's how I found out, oh, there's a children's clinic?
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, Otherwise I probably wouldn't have gotten connected with the other girls. But I'm like, oh, there's a fair number of TS women in my area that about my age that have Turners like I do. Like I didn't realize because like I think there's 10, 12 of us.
Yeah.
Mm.
But especially for doctors, I really wish too like doctors were more connected.
Even if it was just a pamphlet that's like,
And be like, yeah,
here's some things,
here's a pamphlet for
so
you.
you're not going to the mass world of Google
Right. Yeah.
that is going to tell you you're dying.
Right.
As Google does.
Yeah.
Without
Mm.
question. And have to sift through all of that. I mean, talk about overwhelming information. So that's why I feel like starting with the doctors and being like, here's
Just some baseline.
here's what information is helpful at diagnosis. Here's what resources would be helpful. Because I find a lot of people are just left and turned to Google because they aren't given that much information from a doctor.
Yeah. I I don't know how much like my endo gave me. I don't think I remember feeling like it was a lot, but I was also like still kind of I think at that point because I'd had a month. If I did do, I'd maybe started looking up something. So I was like, yeah, I know it can do this and yeah, and then she had me get a few more tests done while I was there and then I think mentioned doing cardiology visit and stuff like that. So I was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you
Mm-hmm.
don't get it within that window, of course, the second you leave, you're going to be like, hey, what even is this? And you're going to Google.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts to wrap up? I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and talking with us.
Yes.
I know it's
Of
got to be
course.
really late where you are. I think both of you are well, I know Andrea is in a 2 hour later than me time zone.
Oh yeah, I'm 3 hours ahead.
Oh, gosh.
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
So,
Oh.
any
But
final
yeah, it
thoughts?
was
And
fun.
I did just want to say thank you so much for coming on
Yes.
and
Of course,
sharing
it's
and
been
talking with
fun.
us.
Um, I guess just knowing that it will be okay, just try to take it one step at a time because it can be overwhelming
Yeah.
when you first find out, whether it's a parent finding out or finding out yourself, if like you're a teenager or older, it can be a lot of information. So just kind of like I told the mutual contact I had on Facebook or like a friend I had on Facebook who I'd met through school, just like taking it one step at a time and you're not necessarily going to have all of the things that are going to pop up or that you're going to get told you can have like everybody's situation is different, so just kind of taking it one step at a time and until you kind of know what your specific situation is. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really important as you're trying to even figure out what it is. Like, you're not going to solve the equation in one sitting.
yeah.
No.
So,
Yeah.
And I guess if anything else, just trust your gut, because you know that could have been if I had maybe pushed more earlier on, I might have known sooner. Because you know, like I said, I had that like, ah, this seems weird, but okay, you know, I'm gonna trust what my mom's saying. But at the same time, my anxiety is like, something's wrong. You're never gonna have kids, and all of that. And so trusting your gut and pushing for answers if you need to as well.
yeah.
Mhm.
Advocate for yourself.
Mhm.
Don't listen to Google.
You don't
Yes.
listen to Google. I've broken my own rule with this. Take it with a grain of salt. A big,
Mhm.
huge grain of salt.
Yes.
Massive grain of salt.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Oh, goodness.
Well, thank you, Savannah,
Yes.
again. Thank you, everybody that's listening and hung out with us for this. And yeah, let us know your experiences, your thoughts, questions, suggested topics. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys next time.
We'll talk to you in the next one.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. The Coffee and Turner Syndrome podcast is a Butterfly Entertainment production. You can keep up with the Coffee and Turner Syndrome podcast on Instagram at Coffee and Turner Syndrome podcast. You can keep up with all of Butterfly Entertainment's podcasts, YouTube videos, films, and other projects on our Instagram page. We are at Butterfly Entertainment Group. Thanks for listening.